Well, hello and welcome. My name is Alison Davies, and I'm going to be talking to you about getting out of overwhelm or experiencing burnout and getting into calm feeling, that grounded, where you know you can do whatever you set your mind to. And as I was writing this earlier, it reminded me of the time when at age 40, decided to go back to school to become a registered holistic nutritionist because I was frustrated, no matter how hard I tried, to release the weight. And it was really the pivotal point for me to dive into personal development and do something that's just for me. So, so there was this thing. In order to become a registered holistic nutritionist, you had to do 26 case studies, real case studies, and write a board exam. And I did it part-time, and it was a 2-year course. And we had basically a year to do these 26 case studies. And I had completed 2 or 3 because that had it to be handed in at a specific time. But wouldn't you know, I found many reasons to not finish writing up these case studies that I procrastinated, shall we say, until it was about a month before they were to be handed in. So you can imagine my little moment of, okay, Alison, enough with the procrastinating. You have run out of excuses. And so I sat there and I started and I found other things to do. Well, because you can't quite do your work in a messy room. So you got to clean up the room before you start. I remember doing this at university too. I don't know if you did, but I did. So I cleaned the area that I was doing my case studies. Okay. Okay. It's clean. Yeah. Okay. Now dive right into it. And then I found something else to do. And it was that thing that I just kept putting it off. And I remember phoning one of my friends that, we became very good friends in nutrition school. And she too had procrastinated. So we're like, okay, let's do them together so that we can hold each other accountable and talk out loud and just with each other right there. And I'm going to tell you, that actually was the thing because I knew she was doing it. She knew as I was doing it. And so we just crammed and didn't stop for a couple of weeks doing our case studies. And it was really at that point that, and then we had to study also in the midst of all of this for our oral exam and the 6-hour written exam. And during the written exam, we had to write our basis on reflection of our case study. So we had to write out 2 case studies. So it was really that time of the exam and the case studies came up. And I'm going to tell you, I did hand in all my case studies, and the oral exam was a case study. So as I go to write the exam, I sit down. Actually, that reminds me of, for some reason, I don't know why, it reminds me of my puppy that I have right now. Yeah, I got a COVID puppy, believe it or not, but he's adorable. And we've been thinking about him for a while. And our breeder that we normally go to has this like years long wait list. So, so he's a golden retriever. He's 1.5 now, and he is very curious. I have another golden retriever, and she was curious, but nothing like him. He's always watching, always noting everything that like sounds intrigue him. He's just got to, explore it, or if something's really puppies. A leaf could be moving, and that's freaking amazing, right? But what happened this time, like my husband was putting together an IKEA shelf. And by the way, I just bought like some more IKEA furniture. So we're going to have some lovely couple time building it. And if you built IKEA, then you know what IKEA furniture fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. There's going to be no missing pieces, no miscommunication. It's going to be, I'm putting it out there for you right now. It's going to be fantastic. Anyways, so he just has to, I have video of our puppy just nose into everything. Like if he building something, his nose is like right there. We're like, what are you doing? What can I help with? Kind of thing. It's hilarious. But this one time he was exploring and being curious about a frog, because we walk around this we call it the duck pond, but it's like this conversation runoff area. But anyways, and yes, he likes to swim in it, and I don't want to know what. Anyways, that's besides the point. But there was a frog, and he was very, very curious. And if you have a dog, then you know when they're really leaning in, but their hind legs are way behind, then you know they're not quite confident with what they're exploring. And what happened was it made that ribbit sound, and he just like leaped back. Oh my God, I almost peed my pants laughing. But his curiosity, he was still not done with that. And so he walked over to that frog and he leaned in again. And that reminds me of another story, actually. My son, he was deciding which soccer team he wanted to be on, because he left the one that we were at, and I think he was about 12, no, maybe about 14. And he's like, okay, I'm going to try out. And I live in Oakville, so he's going to try out for the Oakville Soccer Club. Well, if you know anything about Oakville Soccer Club, it's very who you know. And the team had already been selected, but the tryouts were just a formality. So he was like going, no one's looking at me. It was a 2-day tryout, full on. And he's like, no one is looking at me. I'm gonna really, he was determined to get on this team. And he's like, Mom, I'm doing my best. I'm really out there and really trying to catch their eye. And after 2 days, he was not selected for the team. Like I said, they already had selected it, and I think they had room for one. And he was just really upset. He came home crying. He was just all upset. And I'm like, you know what? You have a right to be upset, but you can cry for a little bit now, but what do you want to do with that now? Do you want to just give up, or do you want to go try out for another team? And it's really up to you. This decision is up to you now. And so he was so cute though. He was sitting there and he cried for maybe about 5-10 more minutes. And then he went, okay, I want to try out for the Hamilton team. And which is about a half hour, 45-minute drive. And it was like, oh, yay. Moms just love, carpooling everywhere for anything. But anyways, so we were like, okay. And their tryout was actually a month long. So it was during the weekend and I think one evening. And he was like so determined. He's like, I'm going to. And after the first tryout, he's like, Mom, the coach really, really liked me. And I'm like, come on. He goes, no, coach, really, I am determined. I'm going to get on this team. And it was after the second week that the coach did approach and say, yeah, I really want you on your team. I like your drive. I love your determination. I love your hard work. And you're a great listener. And it was really at that point that he understood that level of determination to get him where he wanted to go. And it was at that point when he was going to the first game. And Hamilton's known to be a really tough team. So, and he's a defender. And so he was walking on you know what? That actually reminds me when my daughter, I have a special abilities daughter, and she was in cheerleading for about 5-6 years at this point. And her coach had said to us, you know what? My kids, she kept calling her special ability team, like Scottish lady. I'm sorry, my table's like shaking. This Scottish lady. My team is going to make it to Worlds and be at Disney cheerleading Worlds competition. That's it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Wendy, like whatever. Okay. She's like, no, you mark my words. What? Easy for her to say. You mark my words, they're going to make it. I'm like, okay. The second year, she's like, my kids are going to make it to Worlds. And I'm like, Okay, Wendy, like there's no special ability division cheerleading. And we just were like, yeah. Doesn't the third year? She's like, my kids are going to Worlds. And this is the first year that they had opened. She really was the horn, shall we say, of why we need to include everyone. And so Worlds had put out that they will have a special ability division, and they had all this criteria, which we made sure we met all the criteria, and we submitted our video to Canada, because then they had a bunch of judges that were going to decide which team, special ability team, was going to represent Canada. And when you know, we were selected. So we have been trailblazers like there's no tomorrow. And I'm like so in awe that this actually happened. So we get the Canada uniform just like all the other Canada athletes. It was very inclusive. We go down to Disney. And if you have any kid who is a dancer or a cheerleader or anything where they're performing, you know, as a parent, you're going through it just as much as they are when they're out there. So they were able to carry the flag. It's like the Olympics, and they're carrying the flag and they're going around and everything. And I was just so full of inspiration, empowerment, just in awe with everything that all of these athletes, because their disability is just who they are. It's not who they are, it's just what they have. But these athletes, things that they've been through, and they could experience this, and all the other 5 other Canadian teams that represented across Canada were there supporting them like there was no tomorrow. So every Canadian team was around the mat when they were about to perform. They step out, you can see the look on my daughter's face, and oh my goodness, I have been talking so much. I'll share the stories at the end. So you have to wait. Uh, but it's really about understanding, even when we're procrastinating and we're putting the things off, that all it takes is for you to be curious and see that when you really dive in and become determined of what you see, that you can lead to empowerment and awe and inspiration and motivation. And so that is where I want to start with this, talking about overwhelm. Can you imagine having the skills to be able to move you out of overwhelm quickly and easily? I know. And imagine that you're able to tune in and clearly see the direction that you need to go without this overwhelm and emotions taking over, that you're actually able to decide with a clear mind of the direction that you want to go. Right. And these are some of the things, and I'm going to give you hands-on 3 tools or more, we'll see as we go along, of that you can do right now that will help you get out of overwhelm. Because overwhelm, let's be real, and burnout is another one that's really common right now, is really a key thing. And that's what I really want to bring forward to you. So my name is Alison Davies, and I'm an inspirational speaker and transformational coach and trainer. And I help healers like you really release all that's stopping them from seeing their magic, from seeing their abundance, from seeing the path of amazingness. Because let's be real, us healers like to help as many people as we can, that we tend to have a tendency to forget ourselves. And so that is what I am here to do, is to remind you that anything is possible when we let go of those things that are just so easy to reprogram and shift. And why would we not? So let's get started. And a little bit about me. So if you Before we get started, if you haven't printed the workbook that is included with this video, then please pause now and print it up because it will be so much easier because I'm going to be using that. I'm not using slides. I'm going to be using the workbook kind of as the slide so that you can see some of the things. There's some things to fill out. And if you have, awesome, let's move forward. So if not, hit pause, print it, and then come back. So it all started, no, just joking. I'm not going to do my whole history. But what it did start was I met my husband first year university. And everything was fantastic. Sure, I had stress of school, everything, but everything seemed to be following in the line that I thought my life would go. And then I have my daughter. And my daughter, if you had a child, it's the most amazing, beautiful moment. And oh crap, I don't want to screw this up moment, right? And I remember the first day when they're like, and we'll leave you alone with your child. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? It's kind of funny now when I think back, but I did have that feeling because I didn't want to screw her up. And like any good parent, of course we do. Anyways, that's besides the point. But it was a couple of years later that my world came crashing down because she was diagnosed with epilepsy, like a seizure every 10 seconds that we couldn't really see, but there was something that was going on. And then later she was diagnosed with easy for her to say, developmental disability. And my world then became taking care of her and making sure she had everything she needed. I became a stay-home mom, and everything, my life, everything was wrapped around her. And then I had my son. And then my life became everything about her and everything about him to make sure he didn't feel like he was ever left out. I want him to have as much normal upbringing as possible. Like that was my focus. And then my husband got some stuff, but there was no time for me. I didn't make time for me. I was doing exactly what my mom had done, was focus everything on kids. And if I focused on me, that was selfish. So I did nothing. I woke up at age 38 one day and went, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. And it was really at that point that I began my personal development point. Personal development, yeah. I went back to school to become a registered holistic nutritionist because I was like the fittest fat person. No matter what I did, diet, whatever, exercise, I couldn't get fit. I couldn't lose it permanently. And I wanted that. So I went back to school, and I remember being so like, oh my gosh. But it was the most amazing experience. It was the point that I started doing things for myself. And after I graduated school, I started working with clients. I started with a network marketing that was primarily health. And so it was in alignment, but I was part of something more than me. I was part of a community, a tribe. And, I got excited, but I was frustrated because my clients and my friends weren't getting lasting results. Me either, right? So I went back to understand the mind. And that's really what started me on learning neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. And at that time, I was like, hypno, what? Like that woo? Like, no. And now the funny part is that's what I love the most. And then timeline therapy is like amazing in really making a huge shift quickly with myself, but with many of my clients and what I teach with my students as well. And it really does shift things quickly and easily. And, but all that aside, during COVID, my daughter went through a lot of mental health issues, and it got so bad that we had to hospitalize her. Mother's Day. I remember that clearly. that we then took her to the hospital because she stopped eating and drinking and everything completely. And she was just wasting away. And the doctors had no idea, the psychologists or the medical doctors, no idea what was going on. And so we had to feed her through an IV because she refused to drink water like anything. And she just wasn't all there mentally either. And so it was at that point, I was ashamed and shameful to even share this with many people because I am this, mind person. I work with the mind and how to shift things, and I can help you and this and that. And here I couldn't help my daughter. So these were the things that I used in order to not just survive, but to thrive on some level, in order to hold space for her to heal and hold space for my husband and my son, and for me to be fully present and really dive into that. Because not only was my daughter in the hospital once, but 3 times. And this last one was even, you go, really? Can it get even worse than that? Oh, yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. And I'm happy to say she's very healthy, happy, and everything right now. But just this past January, she was on a ventilator for 2.5 weeks and in the hospital for another 4 or 5 weeks. And she is amazing now. She, they found the right medication and everything for her. And it was through all of that that I'm sharing with you right now the things that got me through. Some of the things. The other things, I had to rely on my tribe of other healers in order to release things that were coming up, anger, rage, shame, grief, all of that was building, right? And these are the things I'm going to tell you. People go, I can't believe how well you're handling it. And I'm like, oh, if you only knew how many times I was doing this. So this is where I could sit here and just really hold this all to myself, but I can't. I need to share this with you so that you can get through, because you may not have the tools that I have, and that's selfish. So it was really at this point that I knew I had to share this, and I'm honored that I can, and that I can do it without crying too, because I've really worked through a lot of that. It's really so that you can be the healer, the person that you want to be, not what you think you should be. I'm going to say this, just be you, freaking you, man. Who you're meant to be, not who you believe you should be, or that society has you to believe, or family, or anything. Let's just throw that all out the window. And moving forward here now, this is all about awareness. I really want to be clear here. This is about awareness and no judgment. Because here's the thing, you can't change what you don't know. And if you want to shift things and change things, then you have to know what's going on. And the awareness is the key. So pass away any judgment. I did, yeah. So I really want to bring about, in 1970, Hubert, let me get this name right, Freudenberger, yeah, it's an easy name to say, isn't it? He was an American psychologist, actually, that coined the whole phrase of burnout or an overwhelm. And really, there was 3 components that he was talking about. And the first one was emotional exhaustion, right? What we've been going through this whole COVID, like, that's a shocker. But many women and healers are experiencing that because they're fatigued from carrying on too much for too long. It's like we keep putting on more layers and more layers of these weighted coats. And then we're like, why am I not surviving? Why am I not thriving? Why am I not? And yet we got this huge amounts of things that we keep picking up along the way. And some of them aren't even ours. I know. Go figure. The second one is decreased sense of accomplishment. So that feeling of no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to matter. You start to think, why should I bother? Why should I freaking bother? It doesn't matter anyways. I know I can say that a couple of times, as I'm sure you have too. And the third is depersonalization. So there's like a depletion of empathy, compassion, and caring. So he was a real one that really brought this forward. And it, if you've read Brene Brown, her Heart Atlas, it's all about emotions and how many emotions are there. And really, this overwhelm and burnout is really the key. Now, burnout is just an extension and made it worse of the overwhelm, because we can handle overwhelm if it's done in little spurts. Burnout means overwhelm has had too long, too fast, too just much without any break. So before COVID, honestly, this running on empty badge was huge. And I think I had it too. Of, hey, I'm a go, go, go girl. I don't have breaks for this. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And it really became this badge. And what happened was we all stopped to take, not because we had a choice sometimes, of what is important to us, what is not, what is draining my energy, and what can I let go in order for me to be a better person, a happier person, a more joyful person. So it was really where, that's like the pivotal point of where we're at right now. So if you turn to page 3 of stress and emotions are the very thing that affects women's well-being. It negatively influences your work, your relationships, your health, your joy. That feeling of fun and carefree, it depletes that, it drains it. And you may have or you may not have known that your emotions are automatic. You don't think, I'm going to feel angry, and you go, right? I'm going to feel joyful, and then you do it. No, it happens automatically in your unconscious mind, which I'll talk about a little later. But it's also a neurological events that happen throughout your whole nervous system. Now, when I first started on this, understanding the mind and body and spirit, whole and heart aspect, I didn't know that. I thought all your emotions, everything is all in your mind, but it's not. It's found in your body. Emotions are found in your cells. And when you suppress and push down and everything, it stays in those cells. So you can think about all the things that you've been putting on that you know of consciously. It's in your cells. And if you don't let them go, then they're going to keep on building and keep on building until I'm jumping ahead here right now. So let's read the signs and symptoms of overwhelm. So I think I've pretty much had all of these at one point, and that's what the boxes there are for you to become more aware of some of the things that you are feeling, or maybe someone, your client or someone you know, not necessarily of what's been now or what you've experienced ever in your past. So the mind is everywhere, yet nowhere. It's just like the racing mind, I like to call it. Short-tempered, especially at loved ones, right? Trouble sleeping, too much or too little. Feeling tired, anxious, or depressed. Always feel there is not enough time, never enough time. Like, how can I do all this? How do people do this? I don't know. There's never enough time. But yet I found time to play on my phone. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. Forever growing to-do list that never gets done. It's like we create it intentionally so that we beat ourselves up that we didn't finish our list. I have a colleague, and if she's listening to this, no, it's not you, that she created a list every day of like 17 to 20 items. And I'm like, honey, you got to stop that. It's not doable. Forgetfulness, The inner critic telling you you're not good enough 24/7, not good enough, whatever your thing that stops you from doing that. You're not smart enough. You're not a good speaker. You need to know more. Who's going to listen to you? Who's going to pay you that? I don't know. Cancel. Not me. Procrastinate on everything, or you just procrastinate, like how I was doing my case studies, just procrastinate, even though you should do. Chronic constipation or diarrhea, the nutritionist in here, or digestive issues, or pain in your muscles or joints. These are the things that will definitely stop you. And what happens is the more and more you suppress, so you don't want to feel. So here's the thing. You don't know you're feeling your emotions until you're feeling your emotions. Then you become aware. And yet you don't want to feel those feelings. So you shove them down because no one likes to feel those feelings. And they just get pushed down. But I want you to know there are no good emotions and bad emotions. There are only positive emotions and negative emotions. Neither of them are good or bad. Now, we're always striving. I was going to say thriving. To have positive emotions because it's more fun, right? But the negative emotions are there to give you feedback. The solution, I still have positive and negative emotions. I just don't camp out at the negative emotions as long anymore because I'm like, oh, that's telling me I need to change something. Or if I don't, it's going to get louder and louder and louder and louder. Because remember, we're pushing those into our cells until we have disease. And I don't want that. And I don't want that for you. So stop that. Right? Now we're all done. Thank you and have a great day. No, I'm just joking. So you can't be happy all the time. You just can't, because the negative emotions are telling you something. If you are that, and I'm going to tell you, everyone will be like, you're so positive all the time. Yeah, because I shoved down the negative ones because I didn't want to feel them. But then I had that toxic positivity. I'm positive all the time. If I want to be a positive person, I must be positive all the time. Negative is bad. Those are bad emotions. Don't feel those bad emotions. But then you're not really, you're going to get stuck and you're going to be in overwhelm and you're going to feel like you're hitting this wall all the time. And that's not fun. And you can't pretend yourself out of that. Now, you can't, just like you can't be in anxious sadness and depression all the time either. That's not healthy for you. It's not good for you mentally, emotionally, or physically. That's where all the disease and pain comes from. Pain is pay attention to your emotions. So if we go to page 4, I love that quote that's at the top, especially in the first one there. Brene Brown on page 3. We are emotional beings that occasionally think. I love that because I always thought I was a thinking person. Human beings are thinking, but it's not. We're emotional with a little bit of thinking. So in the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. And that's really the key for what I'm always striving for. So emotions have, before I get into that, you gotta like notes to keep you on track, right? Otherwise, I'd go on a tangent and we'd be here all day. But apparently, I have a time limit, so I must oblige. Easy for her to say. So I'm going to go into nutrition mode here and talk to you just a little bit about the science. So your body doesn't know the difference between fight, flight, or freeze. It doesn't know if the difference between a lion or a tiger chasing you, to your husband or a significant other pissing you off, or work pressure, or any of that, or even physical, stress. It doesn't know the difference. So what's going to happen is your body is going to not shut down. I don't want to say shut down, but it's going to reallocate all the nutrients, all increase blood flow, increase and put in lots of insulin and cortisol, which is your stress hormone, your adrenals, everything. So it goes right to your muscles so you can run and live another day. That's the most important thing, because your unconscious mind, your whole thing is to live, right? Is to preserve the body. And running away from a tiger is definitely preserving the body. That's the number one prime directive of your unconscious mind. So, and of your body. So it can do this. Your body is designed to handle this for about 10 minutes, not hours, not days, weeks, months, even years, which some of you may be experiencing. High levels of stress over a long period of time drains your system. It depletes your energy source. It tears away at the arteries inside your body. It can do numerous effects to it. And I really want you to grasp that getting this under control, or this, whatever is making you feel overwhelmed, to whatever your trigger is, to address this. This is very serious. And I want you to take this very seriously so that you can be happy, healthy, and wealthy, right? Isn't that what we all want? So women also like to experience something called the human giver syndrome, right? You can guess what that means. And what happens is we women and healers tend to, how is it worded here? I'm going to read this so I don't get that wrong. Beat yourself up on how you cannot save everyone. Save my daughter. I had that giver syndrome. I still do, and I'm still working through it. I'm a journey. I'm, you know, this is what it is. And this is part of being a healer, is that we want to help all the time. And there needs to be boundaries set of when it is for us and when it is for them. Us first. That's the hardest lesson I learned. And we tend to punish ourselves when we can't help everyone and beat ourselves up about it. The inner critic, your shitty committee, whatever you want to call it, just goes crazy there. So if you turn to page 4, emotions have a beginning, middle, and end. I'll repeat that. Emotions have a beginning, middle, and end. You must go through the emotion all the way through in order to release it from your body. Exhaustion and overwhelm and burnout happens when we get stuck in emotion. And then we get in our head, and then we get all that. And that's not releasing it. Thinking it over, thinking about all the things that you should have said instead, but you didn't, because you were in that moment, and then you beat yourself up about it. Yeah, that's not helping you. That's you being stuck. And we're going to be talking about some ways to release it so that you can move forward from it. And you just need to work with someone. So if you have big negative emotions like rage, shame, grief, anger, helplessness, then you tend to shove that down because it feels too much for you to handle. And then you feel lost and overwhelmed. I'll be honest with you here right now that I had underlying rage for having a special ability daughter. I felt like I was being punished. My brothers had 4 kids each. No one has any special abilities there. And I then thought, oh, no mother should ever feel that. Shove that down. Good mommies don't feel that. Shove it down. So I had, hence why I had so much weight problems, rage that was just underneath the surface there. I had shoved it down so far. Did I release it last year during this whole thing? Yes, in a healthy way. What I didn't realize is that I also had to grieve the life that I thought I would have, but didn't. And, and I did go through the grieving process, recently, so that I could let it go, to release it permanently and keep the learnings of what I learned along the way. Because life never happens the way we plan it, does it? If yours has, let me know. I want to know you. I really want to know you. But it never does, because it usually turns out way better. And sure, there's shitty moments in between. But those are the moments to show you your strength. Those are the moments to show you who you are. Those are the moments that you learn who you are. The greatest spiritual growth happens in those moments. That's when I became really awake. That is when I began to admit to others my spiritual journey. Before, I was in the closet. Oh yeah, I was in the closet till last year. At this point, I was totally in the closet. So you can permanently release it. If you're feeling in those right now, I want you to know you can. Totally. Trauma, everything. You don't have to live with it, so that you can find joy and peace and love authentically. Not this, I should feel, so I'm going to. And something that, brought to my awareness recently was during COVID, it really became heightened. And my mom dramatically has this. And I did on some level, but not like my mom. Ooh, this compassion fatigue, that fear of the people that you love around you getting sick. Makes sense, doesn't it? It has paralyzed my mom, and that fear. And as a daughter who knows all that she knows, you can only do so much, especially with family. And if they don't want to move out of it, then you can't do anything but just keep sending love and doing my work so it doesn't affect me. So I kind of want to shift now and really think about also, emotions are energy. And I'm sure you've walked into the room, or someone has walked into the room and they're really pissed off and they're angry. And you know immediately what that is, not even if you weren't looking at them. Because if we look on the bottom of page 4, it is the low vibration and the high vibration. I'm sure you have heard about the vibration levels and how love is one of the highest ones. What you may not fully know is that it carries a message. It carries a vibrational, specific information to you, and that is what you feel. So I used to think that I was hiding it so well because I wasn't saying it. But little did I know at that time that people knew on some level. They may not be able to say it, but they knew something wasn't right. The alignment wasn't there. So I ask you, what emotions are you broadcasting like a signal out? What emotions are you broadcasting? Not what you're showing the world, but what are you feeling? Now, if you turn to page 5, I love that expression at the top. You can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass. And if you look at the chart there, I thought it was fascinating, so I thought I'd include it for you, is the scale of some emotions with different energies. And this is taken from Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural in 2017. And I'm sure many of you have heard Joe Dispenza. And I've taken several courses with him. And, anyways, most people say, and I used to say this too, that love is like the highest vibration. And here he has bliss and freedom above love. But if you can see this, the energy signatures of it, I think it's fascinating. And you can, look at that at another time. But emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. The bigger the emotion, the bigger the motion. So feel it more. Emotions is just energy in motion, and you need to release it in order for it to let go. You can't meditate it out. Sorry, it doesn't work. Some of my spiritual friends want to do that, and it doesn't work. Ask them. It doesn't work. You may have tried. So all energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information. You can think about the microwaves and the radio waves, and it carries information. Same thing. Based on our own personal thoughts and feelings, we are always sending and receiving information. I know, right? So if you go on page 6, if you keep thinking the same thoughts and feeling the same emotions, we are sending out the same energy with the same message. So day in, day out, if you are thinking the same thoughts and you have the same emotions, that message is the same. So from the perspective of energy and information, this means the same energy of our past continues to carry the same information, which then creates the same future. So if we keep feeling the same feelings and having the same thoughts, then our future is going to be the same as our past. No judgment. But here's the thing. Our energy then is essentially equal to our past. The only way we can change our lives is to change our energy, to change that signal that we are broadcasting every day. So therefore, your past is recreating your future because there is little or no change. I know, right? I know. And yet there's something that we can do about it. I promise. I promise there is. Totally. But this is the awareness piece. So you may think, like I did, that just because you're smiling on the outside, that people don't know what you're really broadcasting. So therefore, wouldn't it be safe to say that to change your life and your energy, you have to change how you think and how you feel? It's not changing the people around you. It's you changing how you think and how you feel. I want to say that again. It's not you changing others. It's how you think and how you feel. That is the difference that will make the difference. It's something so simple. It sounds simple, but there can be so many things in that. So I'm getting ahead here. I'm just getting all excited. So I want you to turn to page 7 here. And I want you, I'm not going to go into great detail on this, but I wanted to include this for you. If you want to know more and dive in a lot deeper on your higher self, unconscious mind, conscious mind, I do have courses that cover that in great detail. I'm telling you, like a day or two, even in the Accelerate Your Healing Power, definitely in your Remember Your Magic. So I want you to look at the unconscious mind here. There's so much here. Your unconscious mind is where all values, behaviors, beliefs, learning, and emotions are found. This is where all of it is found. This is the unconscious level. Some people call it the subconscious. Our school of thought with the Tad James Company is that it's the unconscious mind, but it's used interchangeably. So we cannot control it consciously. So it's really about you deepening your relationship. Many people do not have much of a relationship with their unconscious mind. Now, I want you to take note here because many here are on their own spiritual journey and personal development. You cannot get to your higher self or your guides consciously. If you look on the chart here, you must go through your unconscious mind. That is where your inner critic is. That's where your intuition is. That's where the noise, the shitty committee, all the limiting thoughts or empowering thoughts, limiting beliefs or empowering beliefs, things that you're carrying from the past. If you can imagine you have this, remember they always say, oh, in order to heal, you have to fill your cup. Well, I want you to imagine you got this cup in front of you, and Zoom is so weird because now my hand's like, ooh. So you can imagine you got this cup and all your past stuff is filling that whole cup, and you keep going, I'm gonna do this thing. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be fantastic. You wait and see. And then you pour all those positive thoughts and everything into your cup, but there's no room. There's no room for it because all your past stuff is filled to the brim, or there's holes all in your cup because everything just leaks out. So how can we be in flow and hold all that awesomeness if we're holding on to our past? Because that's going to fill your cup first. So you have to let go of all of that stuff in order to be in flow, in order to bring it down, in order to be aligned. You must, because that noise is going to stop you from hearing that message, from hearing the guidance. And that is really what I'm going to talk about with this page here right now. I want you to understand this. Anything and everything is possible. Anything and everything is possible with effort. You may need more skills. You might need more resources. You might need to let go of some stuff, but anything is possible that you set your mind to. Anything. It's limitless possibilities. But I'm going to show you 3 simple techniques that I use. I still to this day use every single day. They're simple. And if you have this notion that it has to be hard to be of value, that's a limiting belief. I don't know about you. I had to knock that out, by the way. Totally had that thought process because we're trained to believe that. We only celebrate the hard. Cancel. I want things to be easy in my life. I've had enough hard, as I shared with you some of my hard stuff. Yeah. So, just food for thought. So I want to provide you with hands-on practical for your toolkit. So I better get a move on because we're getting down to it. So if you turn to page, and my eyesight's fantastic, 8. Turn to page 8. We have 3 techniques to get out of overwhelm. We have deep grounding, stress release breathing, and morning ritual. And I'm going to add in gratituding. And I'll tell you why, if we have time to do some of these stuff, because, I just like to talk a little too much. So I want you to understand when I'm talking about grounding, I'm not this deep grounding. I'm not talking about, I'm going to go walk in the garden. I'm going to go swim in the water. I'm going to go for a walk in the forest. And all of those are freaking fantastic. I'm not saying, no, this is better. Well, maybe. Well, it depends. It depends on the intention. Let's put it at that. So what I'm talking about here is when you're fully, deeply rooted, connected to Mother Earth. And if you have a deep grounding routine that's working for you, awesome. This is just another way. Everyone has different ways of doing it. And I'm going to share you the one that made a huge, huge difference. Because when I started doing this properly, deeply, because before I was the surface rooter. And you know what happens on the surface rooter is when the wind blows, whoop, the roots come out. We don't want that. We don't want that. So when I started doing it deeply, I'm going to say, I'm not, this is not going to be for everyone, but this happened to me, is my hot flashes went away. You know, because anytime I started to feel when I just immediately grounded, whoop, gone. That's right. Self-hypnosis with that too. So anyways, so this is the deep grounding, and the benefits of it is really allowing you to further your spiritual journey, your spiritual awakening. The further you root, the higher you can go. It's a safety mechanism. If you don't root deep, you can't go high. As it is above, so it is below. As it is below, so it is above. I'm sure you've heard that before. Same thing in terms of rooting. It's safety. If you don't root, they're just not going to let you go too high. Bottom line. And you could get lost, right? So this is where, that's a whole nother topic. Anyways, stick to this. So what I want you to do, I'm going to lead you through one right now. And I want you to take note where you feel it physically in your body when we're done. Not now, but when we're done, because it's going to feel different. So there is no right, there is no wrong way to feel it. Everyone is different. You're your own person. Yay, human. So I want you to stand up because it's much easier to do. And I want you to imagine you have like this energy field, and it's about the size of your fist right down the middle of your core. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand shoulder width apart, and you're going to take a deep breath in your nose, and then you're going to exhale, and you're going to push it down all the way down into the ground, down to the bottom of your diaphragm, and go, oh, not this. Don't do that. No, do deep grounding when you can do that. Okay. So you want to go really, really deep. And I really want you to push it all the way down. So with me now, you're standing with your feet shoulder width apart. You relax your body, jiggle it out, jiggle it out. And I want you to take a deep breath in, close your eyes. And on the exhale, you're going to push it all the way down to the bottom of your root chakra. Good. And on your next exhale, you're going to push it all the way down to your knees. Ready? Inhale. And on the exhale, push that energy all the way down to your knees. Good. And on your next exhale, you're going to push it all the way down through your feet into Mother Earth. Ready? Inhale. And exhale. All the way down into the feet, into the core of the earth. On your next inhale, exhale, and push it all the way further down. Feel the roots going through your feet, going deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper into the core of Mother Earth, where you'll see a beautiful crystal. Another deep breath in, and then pushing out and go all the way to the crystal. Good. And whatever color crystal is perfect for you right now. Yeah, there's no right or wrong. And each time you do, it could be totally different. It's what you need right now. And as you inhale, you're going to bring in that crystal energy all the way back up through to your knees. And then just exhale again, pushing it back down. And then you're going to inhale all the way from that crystal, all the way back to your root chakra. And then push it back down. And on the next inhale, I want you to imagine a cord, and there's like a little hook for you at the base of your root chakra. And I want you to hook it in. And so it's rooted right into and anchored into Mother Earth. And in your inhale, hook it in. And when you've had it hooked in, you exhale and push it back down. Good. And on your next inhale, you're going to pull the energy from Mother Earth and stop at your solar plexus right below your ribs. Inhale in and out. And on your next inhale in, you're going to go all the way to your heart chakra, and you're going to hold it there all the way in and just breathe. And on your next exhale, you're going to push out your healing light energy all the way around you. You can imagine, I'm going to take myself here, that you're like a Care Bear and you're pushing it out, but it's more like a tutu going, wrapping all the way around. And you're just going to push it out as far as you can imagine, around your town, around your province or a state or wherever you are, and push it out. And even if you can, wrap it around the world, sending out your healing love energy from Mother Earth and from you with all your amazing positive intentions of service, of help, of healing. And bring it back in and push it back down and pull it all the way up. And when you pull it all the way up, I want you to imagine it going through your throat chakra, your crown, your eye, your crown, and out and around like a big bubble and down right back into Mother Earth. And inhale in all the way through, and it shoots right up to the top and comes down and cascading all the way around you. 3 more breaths. All the way through and around and bubbling you and grounding you. One more time, in and around. And now you can open your eyes. I want you to notice how different it is. For me, I feel my feet feel like if I was on the moon, like gravity boots. My butt feels heavy. I don't know how to describe that other than that. And everything is brighter and it's quieter. Whatever you feel for you, I want you to write that down. Hit pause right now and write that down. And there's no right or wrong. I just want you to notice what it feels like in your body. So when you do it again, you know when you're there because you got that feeling to anchor you. So pause and write that down. Good. So now I want you to go to page 9, and we're going to be talking about your stress release breathing. Now, I do this sometimes, after I've grounded and what I like to call bubble. For my empaths out there, you're welcome, because this will stop all the emotions that are coming from everywhere and all this information that's coming at you, and they're not yours. You'll be able to figure out what's yours and what's not, but that's a whole nother course in itself. But I want you to really take this one in. This has been shown to reduce the amount of stress in your body. It has regulates your emotions. It promotes mindfulness. But what this does is it reduces the amount of cortisol. Remember that stress hormone? And inflammation that's getting shot in your body when you're stressed out. I did this before this presentation. Yes, because I was like going, okay, I really want to do a great job. I don't want to forget anything. I want to do my best. And so I was feeling it. And so immediately I went into this and did the deep breathing and released it. Also, little side note, when you're feeling that emotion, you got to do something physical to release it. It's a chemical. Don't make a story. It's just a chemical. Just go release it. Sometimes I'll do jumping jacks before I jump on because I need to release it. It's just energy in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. It's the amygdala firing. Want to know more about that? Then do the Accelerate Your Healing course. So I want you to do this 3 times minimum. If you do it until you feel calm and grounded and a shift. So what you're going to do is the key here is you're going to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. You're going to hold for a count of 6, and you're going to exhale for a count of 8. The key here is a long exhale. This, and I know there's many breathing techniques out there. There's another one I use, which is the Ho'oponopono. That one's amazing too, but this has been known to actually reduce the stress. So find a breathing technique that works for you. I know this works for me. So I'm going to share it with you and you can choose. You have that choice. And it really will reduce the effects of stress on you, because when we're in stress mode, you can't think. You just can't think because all that energy in motion, emotion, right? And then you have, my bonus, gratituding. I think it's a new word, gratituding, is it not? I don't know. You're going to write in a gratitude journal and you must write it out. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because you're reprogramming your reticular activating system, your RAS, which is really big terms for the black box in your mind, the filters that you go through. So you're going to be reprogramming your mind to be looking for 5 things that pull you out of your emotions, out of your head, and into your heart. So I do this with all of my clients. They're doing it for as long as we're working together. They have to do it every day. And it's 5 things. I usually do with my clients something that does with that looks beautiful, something that sounds beautiful or amazing, something that taste. Well, you have your 5 senses. So hearing, feeling, and looking, and then 2 others, usually whatever their goal is, and that's what I'll focus on. So 5 things. So you're reprogramming your mind to look for the things to be grateful for. It pulls you out of your head and into your heart. It anchors you to be grateful. When you're in grateful, you're not in overwhelm. When you're in grateful, you're not stressed out. You're not in that negative thinking. You're reprogramming your brain to go that route, a new behavior, automatic behavior, because you want to write it down. It gets very excited. I make it fun. Get a cool journal, a cool pen. I have, which is now not anywhere that I can see, a unicorn pen that changes colors. Yes, whatever it is for you, make it fun. Here's the thing. Listen, listen, listen. It's not about things being hard. It's not about things taking a long time. It's about consistency. And I want you to think about doing things in small steps, maybe 1 or 2 things you adopt for a couple of weeks, and then you add on, should you choose to. And I'm going to encourage you, if I would suggest, I would suggest that you would, but it's up to you at that moment. So it's really about success loop, not failure loop. And I want you to be in the success loop, because if it does, not if, when you do, then you will have greater, happy, healthy, wealthy life. Because isn't that what we all want? To be aligned so that we can be of service, so that we can help others. But most importantly, feel it here. Feel it here. So the last one is going to be morning ritual. How you start your day matters. Now, I do know some people. They pick up their phone, they start scrolling as soon as they wake up. Sorry, my desk is shaking. Start scrolling, looking on social media. I've been guilty of this sometimes. I'm going to be completely honest, looking at emails, and then you're always feeling like you're behind. I'm going to tell you to stop that immediately. And what I'm going to have you do is, first of all, ground and bubble. As soon as your feet hit the floor, ground and bubble. Then you're going to be thinking about what is the thing that you're going to do for you today? I want that to be first on there. What are you going to do today that's just for you to fill your cup, whatever that might be? Now, I don't want you to be thinking that it always has to be like meditating or, exercising on your own. It could be something that fills your cup is playing games with your kids, running around, frolicking, playing on the swings, whatever it is, whatever makes your inner child happy, do it. Maybe it is going for a massage or nails or whatever. But what is that one thing, even if it's 15 minutes by yourself, to do nothing? What is it? And then you're going to be thinking about who can I help today and how am I going to help my people today? What am I going to do? What is that one thing that I'm going to help others do? Because that fills me up. That makes me grateful. When I see that person light up after and it's amazing. And I wish to do that every day. It's a gift. Then I want you to be quiet. Meditating's a great one to do there. I usually don't encourage people for more than 15 minutes because then it becomes a chore, whatever it might be. Then you're going to do deep breathing. I like the Wim Hof one too. I'm going to tell you, that's a pretty good one. It really brings you back into your body. I do self-hypnosis. I'm visualizing and everything of what I want. So my higher self and my unconscious mind knows exactly where I want to go. And there's tips and tricks that I can teach you about that too. So I want you to write down, what do you do now? And on the next page, what are 2 things that you're going to add in order to be long-term? What are 2 things? Just 2 things. Don't make it complicated, because I want you to be able to be successful. That is the greatest gift that you can give for me and yourself. And then on page 11, I wrote down some journal suggestions, for you to become aware of where you're at right now. What emotions are you projecting right now? What emotions do you want to feel? And what do you need to do to make that happen? Now, if you're feeling some really intense negative emotions, I'm going to tell you to reach out to someone. I'd be honored if it was me. However, that's irrelevant. You're not that you're not. It's a lot more challenging, if next to impossible, to get through those on your own. Honestly, I have picked up some amazing techniques to get through them quickly, easily, and permanently, because they've worked for me. I'm my first client. You're your first client always. And if it doesn't work for me, then I'm not going to be doing it on others. Just the bottom line. We won't be able to get into the 3 monies for minds, but that's in some other courses I teach. I want to draw your attention to page 15. This is just some of the things that I am offering. And what I would like to invite you to do is, on the last page, there's a lean into calm call. And I would love for you to book a call. And these are some of the things I'm offering. On the left-hand side is private coaching. In the middle is my certification board designation courses. And on the other side are some of the course certificate, group coaching, and some other master classes that I'm doing. And I'm always adding more because it's just fun to create all the time and see things at work and things that are even better. I'm always adding what I learn into the things. And should you take one of my courses, you're always welcome to take it, because you're always up level every single time. So that is what I would love. It's a 15 minutes complimentary. Let's just dive in. And one of my superpowers actually is diving in and seeing exactly through your story into who you can be, should you choose. not about me doing it. It's all about you. But we can do an assessment, we can do anything, or just talk. Sometimes that can be the difference that makes a difference, right? Doesn't have to be huge. So I would be honored to be part of your healing and personal development journey. And you never know, we could collaborate, whatever it might be. So just reach out. Let's make a new friend, become tribe members to you. So have an amazing day. And I look forward to really meeting you. And we can have so much fun. Now I have to remember, hit stop recording.